Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Cannon Chatter TV. I'm GTALKS Arsenal, your host for the first ever, really proud to announce the first ever GTALKS show, which will be a weekly edition every Wednesday, probably between the hours of 7 to 9 o'clock, depending on people's availability. But yeah, really excited about tonight's show. I think most of you will obviously have seen some of the tweets that went out today. The actual official title of today's show is called Split Opinions. And we're basically going to be debating and discussing a host of topics that basically where, Arsenal fans, football fans have a split opinion. So, with no longer delay, I'm going to introduce you to my two guests, two very, very special guests tonight for different reasons. So first of all, everybody will probably notice the elephant in the room somewhat. And that is, he's making his YouTube debut. This is my cousin. His name's Andre. But tonight, he's obviously in front of you guys as Harry Payne. He is a Spurs fan. And I know, he's in enemy territory right now. And I know, obviously, you're not used to having Spurs fans on the channel, but, show them as much love as you can. But yeah, well, Andre.
I'm going to have to speak to my agent, man. Get this sorted. It can't be right.
So, Harry Payne, that's what you're going by. How are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself. And yeah, just introduce yourself, man.
Harry Payne, bruv. Another trophy-less Spurs fan. You get me? Keep getting built up and kicked down. Hence the name Harry Payne, innit? We're all in pain at the moment. But yeah, man. We're here, innit? We got Conte now. So yeah. The rebirth.
All right. And how does it feel to make your debut on an Arsenal channel?
Listen, we're Spurs, innit? Like we're ready for anything, bro. Yeah, I'll probably lose. We always lose, but yeah, we're Spurs, innit? We don't back down, innit? It's taking part that cuts.
I rate it, man. You got to wear your colours with pride, whatever those colours are, man. So now I rate it. And obviously, a regular face, definitely on the Cannon Chatter TV. And that is the one and only Gunner King. How are you doing, Gunner King?
All good, man. All good. Yeah, good to be back. Excited to be on the first GTALKS show. And yeah, just excited about the way Arsenal are playing at the moment. I can't lie, man. Don't know if Harry can say the same thing, but
it's funny, It's funny, like as soon as you started talking about Arsenal playing well, Harry Payne just took a little. he sat back in his seat.
Do you know why? If this was 2 weeks ago, yeah, it would be reversed. Or 3 weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago, it would be reversed, didn't it? You guys are up and down, just like us, isn't it? You're on and up right now, so we'll let you have it while it lasts, isn't it? Because I know how it feels.
Fair dues. I can see tonight it's going to get a little bit interesting, but we'll definitely try and keep it on topic as much as possible, guys. But yeah, so first of all, we're going to just go to the chat and just see what's going on. Obviously, we've got some regulars already viewing, kind of saying their hellos. So yeah, good evening, Keith. Good evening, Lottie. Let's go. We've got Mikey here. Nice chatting to you earlier, Mike. Hopefully you're feeling a lot better because I know you've recently been not too well. So nice to have you back. Nice to have you in the chat, mate. We've got Chris. Hi, guys. Hope you're all good. Lottie again, first Spurs fan ever. Haha. Yeah, we had to do it at some stage.
First and last.
No. We'll see. We'll see how he performs, man. We'll see how he does if we're gonna get him back. Keith says here, yes, G. There appears to be a rogue one on the screen. What is this madness? Listen. It's GTALKS show tonight, so we're gonna break the rules a little bit. Albert JTV, yes, GTALKS. Great to see you have your own show. No, definitely, man. It's a proud moment for me still on the Cannon Chatter TV. So yeah, no, all good. Stephen, welcome, Andre. Great to have you on, even if you have questionable taste in teams. All family here. I rate that, Stephen. Albert JTV, like Jamie O'Hara said, Tottenham are back with a smiley face. I wasn't expecting a Spurs fan in the live stream. It should be fun. Yeah, it's going to be fun in games tonight. Mikey, I've got a question. Has anyone seen Harry Kane lately? You want to take that one? You want to
seen
take that one, Harry Payne? No?
Hoodies was here somewhere.
I ain't seen him either. I ain't seen him either. Maybe Conte can find him. That's why Conte came in. Hopefully he can bloody find him.
Nice. Jay Gillian, all the best with the new adventure. Thank you very much. And Chris, just goes to show there's a black sheep in every family. Right. So we will get started. Obviously, there's going to be some bants. You know, it's just the way it is. You know, when you get Arsenal and Spurs fans together, but it's all love on this channel. But yeah, so tonight's show is all about split opinions. The idea of this show kind of came from the fact that, as you'll know, more so Gunner King, because I know, you know, Harry Payne, you're not really on the whole kind of Twitter scene, but Gunner King, you will relate to the whole thing of when you put a tweet out and you share an opinion, all of a sudden you can literally get either a wave of support or a wave of opposition based on basically like what you're putting out there. So the whole kind of split opinions came about, like, instead of having these, you know, dialogues and arguments or conversations on Twitter, sometimes we need to just obviously take it from there and just put it in a show, and then we just kind of have our say. So that's kind of where it came about. So obviously tonight's topic will predominantly be Odegaard and Pepe, just because for me, I have a certain opinion on those two players. But in terms of tweets, in terms of what I'm seeing out there on social media, there definitely does seem to be a split in both the Arsenal fan base, but also rival fan base, just in terms of how good these players are or not, and, you know, whether they should kind of be in the first team or not, etc. So we're going to try and delve into that a little bit more deeper in tonight's show and hopefully get somewhere. We probably won't, but nevertheless, we're going to try our best. But before we get onto anything else, I have to big up and I have to mention this geezer right here, Mr. Wright, Ian Wright. Absolute, you know, Arsenal legend. You know, it was his birthday today. Turned 38 years of age. And, you know, this guy obviously joined Arsenal in 91, I believe it was, from Crystal Palace. I think 185 goals later, you know, in 288 appearances, is an absolute Arsenal legend, Premier League legend, football legend. And he's remained a legend even after, like, playing football. Just the way he kind of carries himself in terms of his energy, in terms of his spirits, and also in terms of just his contribution still up to this date in and around the club. You know, I've seen loads of videos with Bukayo Saka and some of the youngsters. So I'll come to you first, Gunner King. You know, what is it about this guy, you know, that has, I would go as far as to say, has inspired a generation of Arsenal supporters? What was so special about him as a player and as a person?
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, I was born in '83. You know, he joined like '91. The Premier League era was starting. You know, and I was supporting Arsenal by that stage. I think, like, you know, the likes of Rockcastle and all that had sorted that out in the late '80s. But this for me was like my first real, like, you know, everyone's got that childhood hero. You know, like, because, you know, I was like, all right, I started supporting Arsenal, and then, you know, we just exploded from there, you know, like with him being at the forefront of everything. I think, like, from a representation level as well, there wasn't that many brothers doing their thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, like him and John Barnes, I was repping them to the fullest. You know, I went with Arsenal because they're a London team. And from there, Ian Wright was like the first real, true, like what I consider is like the late '80s. I was like 4 or 5, so like I was there supporting Arsenal, but not really like there up until like 7, 8, 9 onwards. Yeah, like he took those years, and yeah, like, you know, so yeah, just watching him light up the stadium, that infectious smile, you know, his work rate, you know, everything he did, like, he just, when he was on the pitch, you could always see that he had left everything on it. You know, like, he just, you know, I was an aspiring striker as well at the time, so yeah, everything about what he was saying and doing, like, I was just following really closely. And I think his time at Arsenal really cemented my status as an Arsenal fan.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, the guy's a legend. He's royalty. Arsenal royalty, man.
Definitely. You know, I had this conversation. It's like, obviously I've been an Arsenal fan for like, my entire kind of, adult life, most of my childhood. But, I often kind of get asked the question of, who is your favorite player of all time? And I think it's really difficult because there's been so many great players over the years for different reasons, and for me, I wouldn't necessarily say he's the best Arsenal player, or in terms of being my favorite Arsenal player based on his ability or based on how he played. But as you said, like for me, he's the reason why I fell in love with Arsenal Football Club. I remember, I wasn't that very good up front. Do you know what I mean? I was never an attacking player, playing in the playground, etc. But I just remember wanting to beat Ian Wright, wanting to score and wanting to celebrate and trying to copy his celebrations, etc. And I think for me, the reason why he edges it over the likes of Henry and Bergkamp in terms of my favorite player of all time is just because of the type of person he is on and off the pitch. Now, I'm not saying that Bergkamp and Henry are not good people off the pitch, but I just think he's more relatable, in terms of his ethnicity, where he's from, in terms of London, and just his general energy, like just what he brings. He's the type of person that just lights up a room. I've met him a couple times, and he's just a humble guy. Despite all his fame and money and opportunities, he will literally just have a down to earth conversation with you. And I think that's why I had to big him up today, and I think all Gunners would big him up on a day like this. I'll come to you, Harry Payne. Obviously, you are a Spurs fan. Put in kind of rivalry and the club we support aside. I think obviously you're slightly younger than myself and Gunner King, but in terms of like your memories of Ian Wright kind of playing in the Premier League, what's your opinion basically of the kind of legacy that he left behind in the Premier League?
Don't know if I should be saying this, but yeah, no, I do. No, he's a quality footballer. Even before he was at Arsenal, he's a quality footballer. I reckon maybe he should have got more of a chance in the international squad, and could have had way more bigger of an impact. I think it was in today's days, he would have definitely had way more. Not saying he's not influential, obviously he is, but you can imagine the sort of influence he would have had in today's game. Obviously, I watched the Rocastle documentary. That made me tear up. It didn't make me cry, but it made me tear up. So yeah, a lot more respect for him. He blessed us with Bradley Wright Phillips, obviously, and the other one that played for Man City. Sean Wright Phillips, yeah. They got their little documentary. It came out. No, it's lovely to see it. It's lovely to see it, and he's a leader for us, though. For young boys like myself that came up, we'd look at him, and the type of player he is: rugged, rough. Like he goes in, never backs down from a tackle, and also he can still relate to the youth, even at his big old age. His spirit's still young. It's still that young.
You can see it.
Yeah, it's just natural. So yeah, man, big up my man on his birthday, innit?
No, definitely, man, definitely, absolute legend. But yeah, we'll go to the chat now because we've just had some comments with regards, obviously, Ian Wright's B-Day. Where are we? We'll start here. So we've got Swara. Ian Wright is so full of life. He's an ambassador for our club. So much respect for Wrighty. Wish I had him play during his playing days. Obviously, a little hello to Gary there. Hello, G, Gunnar King, and Harry Payne. Mr. Silver Fox, Ian Wright, absolute idol growing up. Yeah, I think, that's one thing, like I said earlier, I think he literally inspired a generation of Arsenal fans for sure. Hello, everyone. Hello, TSG22_HD. Chris, for me, I always remember him going on as a sub for Palace in the cup final against United, and almost winning the cup for them on his own with the 2 goals he got. Some fun memories here. Mikey, Ian Wright always takes the time out to reply to fans as well when and if he can. Just top bloke, Arsenal legend. Gary, again, I just clipped this and sent it to all the Spurs chat groups. Righty is a genuinely top human being who has done so much to raise awareness for so many cultural issues. Also legendary Gunnar, which obviously helps, definitely. And Chris, should Wright get a statue outside the stadium? You know what? That is actually a really good question.
150%. I don't know why that hasn't been done already.
Yeah, to be honest, like for me, I say it's a good question, but it's kind of a stupid question, really. And
Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect to you, Chris, at all. I mean, why I say it's a stupid question, I don't know why we're even having to ask that question, because the statue should be there already. Do you know what I mean?
Vieira, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I've always thought, like would be the next two from like the Highbury and the Emirates era.
Yeah.
Just not understood why they haven't done that yet.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, we'll move on. So just wanted to shout out, Ian Wright, obviously, like I said, inspired a generation of supporters. We're going to briefly touch upon this topic because obviously, in GTALKS shows, we are going to cover a range of topics rather than just related Arsenal stuff. And obviously, as my cousin is on the show tonight, I thought, why not? We might as well have a conversation about, the manager merry-go-round that's going on at the moment. So obviously, Nuno has been fired after 17 games, in charge of Tottenham Hotspur, and Conte has been brought in. So I'm going to come to you first, Harry Payne, on this. So obviously, first of all, reactions to Nuno sacking. Was it the right decision? And what are your hopes and aspirations in terms of the Conte appointment?
Well, I think Nuno would have been a great manager if it was a long-term strategy. What he done with Wolves was wicked. Got them to Europe within 3 years or something, silly like that. So he's definitely a great manager. But when you're talking short term, we need trophies. We needed trophies 3 years ago. So, yeah, we need someone like Conte. He's a manager that can come in, turn things around quick. The only thing I'm a bit scared about is the ego aspect, a bit like Mourinho. These kind of managers, they can turn against the squad. So if the squad ain't playing for them, he might start turning against the squad and turning against Levy, which then will make us look silly again, which is something that happens very often with our club. But hopefully we can at least get a Carling Cup. A League Cup. And then, you can get out of there. But we just need a trophy. That's the only thing you lot can say to us is, when was the last time you won a trophy? Because
do you have? I can see Gunner King wants to come in, but just hold fire, Gunner King, for a second. Do you have any reservations about, one, the fact that he spent near off 700 million in his last two jobs, and secondly, the fact that it's only an 18-month contract? Do either of those kind of things make you raise an eyebrow, give you a bit of doubts about the appointment?
Do you know what? It doesn't. I reckon we've got a quality squad. I reckon we've got good enough players. Look, the squad we've got now, they got us to the Champions League final. We didn't win it, but we've got quality players. I reckon you look at Son, Harry Kane when he's in the right frame of mind. Conte done it with Lukaku, innit? I'm not saying they're the same. They're sort of the same sort of striker, but obviously Lukaku can turn and hold up the ball better than Kane's got a bit more movement. But if Conte can get into Kane's head like he done to Lukaku with Son and Lucas Moura, then I reckon we got a chance, man. I reckon we got a good chance of at least getting a trophy. I don't think he needs the money at the moment. He might need to buy a striker to back up Harry Kane. He might need to buy a defensive midfielder or a centre midfielder for Dele Alli, because Dele Alli likes to play Fortnite, innit? But we'll see what happens, bro. Honestly, I reckon he could do a job. Do a job, man. I'm excited. Okay.
Gunner King, I know it's not, you don't really like talking about Spurs. You like bantering Spurs a lot on TikTok. I know that. I love the videos. And you know what? It's funny because even though you guys are meeting for the first time tonight, my cousin knows who you are because I use your TikTok videos to banter him. So he knows.
That's you.
Yes, this is the guy. This is the guy.
Bro. I'll be honest, that's how it always is with Spurs fans, man. It's
well, yeah. In terms of the manager merry-go-round, just reactions to obviously, Nuno sacking, and obviously Conte coming in.
First of all, I think this just highlights the underlying issue that has existed in both of our clubs, which we have taken more positive steps to get rid of. And that is recruitment. I'm a recruitment consultant by day as well, so I understand the importance of getting it right. The recruitment processes at both of our clubs for a while have just been either non-existent or not fit for purpose, or both. So I think, look, Spurs got rid of Jose. I want to go back to that as well, because they did it a day before, with their very next fixture being a cup final. And this guy's a serial. I mean, how many finals has Jose lost? Like barely any. I think you can count the number of times on one hand this man has lost in a final. They sack him before the final. I mean, the timing is just wrong.
Because even at United, like when he was fired, he won 2 trophies that season. I think.
Yeah, exactly. On his way out, like I don't know if the rationale was, but if he goes there and wins it, then we won't be able to get rid of him. You're in control. Like he wins the Carling Cup, you turn around, the Carling Cup ain't really what we're about. Sorry, we're letting you go anyway. So from there, you saw like the 3 months or however long it took them to shortlist and reach out to. I mean, they were doing the reach around everywhere, like to try and get a manager. And, they went and got Nuno, like after like the 9th time of trying. And that for me just spelled it out. Like you've brought in like your 8th or 9th target. And, you're in the middle of the rebuild. Like this is a rebuild phase for Spurs at the moment. They've been trying to ignore that. They've been parading, finishing above us as if finishing above Arsenal is a trophy. And they've been thinking that's their lot in life. But their squad has deteriorated season on season. It's been 3 years since they've been in the Champions League now, but they still talk about it like it was yesterday, which I find hilarious, right? And that really shows that this isn't a new problem. They've been on the decline, and as good as any one team can be with standout players, Tottenham put that all of their eggs in the Kane and Son basket. And I think they needed a manager to come in that could see past that. That could be like, look, forget this situation. The guy doesn't want to stay. Get rid of him. Take the money, cut, reinvest it in the squad, reinvest it in players that want to be here. I've got to get hold of like some of these personalities and egos, because I'll be honest, everyone's bantering us about this All or Nothing DVD. I've seen footage of Son and Loris going at it in the changing room, and Jose just sat there, like just letting them go at it. They just don't. The players seem to be like, there seems to be a group, a clique within Tottenham's circle that are just a law unto themselves. There's no discipline. So I looked at Nuno and I'm like, is he the guy that's going to come in and smash heads together and like kick ass and take names? No, he's not. Comes across quite passive, like quite not one to engage the media too much. Like maybe Jose did that too much, so they went the opposite way. But I just didn't see the main thing that I want to point out, right, is, and I still see this with Conte, I don't see any alignment, in what Tottenham are trying to do and where their strengths are. If I was to ask you, Harry Payne, what is the strongest part of Tottenham's team, try tell me you wouldn't say it's the attack, because it is, right? Your strikers, your attacking players are by far the jewel in your, I don't want to call it a crown, but you get what I'm saying.
You can say that, man. You're free to say whatever you want.
But when you bring in Jose Mourinho, he builds from the back. So he'll sort the defense out first. He'll make sure that you're difficult to score against. And scoring will not quite be a byproduct, but it is treated a bit like a byproduct.
But then if
you look at Nuno, he's quite similar. And you look at Conte can be a bit more offensive, but ultimately his priorities are the same. He's the first thing he's trying to sort is the back four. So for me, what I didn't understand is you look at someone like, and a lot of you Spurs fans turned up your nose at the man, Graham Potter, 4th highest chance creator in the Premier League last season, 19th highest, so basically the second lowest for chance conversion rate. You imagine putting Harry Kane and Son on the end of that level of chance creation. But no, Tottenham are more interested in a guy who's got trophy winning on his CV than actually, we've got good attacking players. We need a manager that might not have the gravitas and like the experience of winning trophies that these lot do, but he's going to play an attacking system, which is going to get the best out of my best players. It's going to get me climbing up the table. So the whole Conte thing, I'm not even bothered by it, because it's much more of the same in my eyes. You know what I mean?
So as obviously Harry Payne, hearing kind of what Gunner King said there, without, we're going to move on shortly, but in terms of Conte coming in, what has Conte got to do, in your opinion, to turn things around from what you've seen as a Spurs fan?
I don't think he has to do much. I feel like the team's built. We've been built. We ain't been declining. I don't think we've been declining for years. I think as long as we consistently stay above Arsenal, we're consistently going up. Like we're not declining. All right. Then, look, at the end of the day, we've got wicked players. Lukaku and Kane, they got similarities. The same way Conte got into Lukaku's head, I can see him getting into Kane's head. If we play Son off of Kane, we play Mora off of Kane, we sort out that defensive midfield. Because at the end of the day, I don't even think our defense is that bad anymore. I think Sanchez, he might not be the best player in the world, but he's definitely come on a lot more than when he first came. I think Dyer's improving.
Romero looks good. Romero
looks decent. Romero's decent as well. But I think ultimately we're an attacking squad, innit? And we got some wicked attacking players. Mora can run with the ball. Like he's one of very few players in the Premier League that can get the ball and run through players. But at the end of the day, they got to have the right frame of mind. And Conte's someone that's passionate. So Conte's someone that can get that into you. And Conte's someone that they'll respect. Conte's someone that can give Harry Kane a backhand. And Harry Kane's going to listen. Maybe Nuno was shook to give Harry Kane a backhand because he knows he ain't got that kind of respect. He ain't got that kind of leverage where he can say, look, I went to Inter and done this. I went to done that. Look, so you can't tell me I'm not.
Yeah, I hear you.
True, you know what I'm saying?
With Jose.
So
we had that with Jose, but Jose is a very different manager to Conte. Jose's the sort of manager. Jose's very, I would say, it's outdated. He's very immature in terms of his managing now. Just like what he done with Pogba at United. He likes to call players out, like what he done with Dele Alli. And I feel like the new generation of players, they don't react to that. When you start calling players out and pinpointing players' faults and things like that, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
you got to put arm around the shoulder, and you got to back them. You got to and that's something that Conte can do. You got to back them. Mourinho won't. He's not that kind of manager. He's like I don't know if you said you watched All or Nothing. Did you see what happened with Danny Rose? There's things like that. Do you know what I mean? Danny Rose said he wanted to play more. Give the boy a chance. He sold him. Like, he didn't get a chance again. And managers like that, with that, like I say, with egos, that's what I'm kind of scared about with Conte. But time will tell. Time will tell. Harry Kane.
Conte's got that kind of those kind of demeanors to his record as well. That's what I'm saying. Like that, he has had that with players.
With players in the past, isn't it? Yeah, no, he has. I definitely agree.
And particularly,
go on.
Yeah, and particularly, obviously, I know we were talking before we came on the live stream, and we said how, Conte somewhat fell out with the Chelsea hierarchy. He fell out with the Inter hierarchy, over various reasons. So I think I personally feel like it's something that's going to either go really well or really badly. The last question I'm going to ask you, Harry Payne, before we move on, is obviously the way you're speaking. I know we had various conversations when City came in with a really big transfer fee. Transfer proposition in the summer, and you were probably the only Spurs fan that I spoke to, or only fan that I spoke to, that said he ain't going nowhere because Danny Levy is just not going to budge, and he ain't going nowhere. And I remember me and you going at it, in the DMs and at WhatsApp. But you were right. Now, in terms of the way you're speaking, I can tell that you're speaking in terms of Conte's coming in and Harry Kane's futures at Tottenham. So in terms of that, do you see him leaving in the January or the summer transfer, or the transfer window, or do you see now with the arrival of Conte, Kane kind of knuckling down and finding form again?
I feel like a lot of people don't put enough respect on Kane's name, innit? At the end of the day, we watch the Premier League. It's the biggest league in the world. It's got the best players in the world. It's got the best midfielders in the world. It's got the best attacking midfielders in the world. And Harry Kane got the most assists last season in the Premier League, and he's a striker. He got the most goals in the Premier League, and he's a striker. Then you look at Grealish. I don't know what Grealish done last year because I don't watch Grealish, but City bought him for 100 mil. Now, Harry Kane, you're talking about the best striker in the Premier League. You talk about the guy that's creating the most goals in the Premier League over De Bruyne. And look, you might not even compare them because obviously they're in different positions, but you gotta realize what I'm saying. The most assists and the most goals. Do you understand? So for me, I want to keep him. I don't want him to go anywhere. I hope he can stay. Like I say, he's the same kind of striker as Lukaku. And if Conte can get in his head, Mourinho is a very defensive manager, like you said earlier. So he got Kane into that defensive mindset. So Kane wanted to start dropping in and trying to ping the ball over the top like he's Paul Scholes. Conte, he needs to get that Lukaku mind frame into him, get the ball, turn, play someone through, or just play it and then get the ball back and run through. He's got to get that mind frame and stay on the last defender, stay on the centre back. Once he starts doing that again, with Son running off him and Lucas Moura running off the other side of him, I'm telling you, we'll be all right. So, for me, I want Kane to stay for now, only because we've got Conte. But you never know. Time will tell, innit? Time will tell.
Okay.
I actually had a friend who's a Spurs fan who was saying the same thing. And, he was boasting about it. And I said to him, mate, you don't know what a Pyrrhic victory is? A victory that comes at such a cost, it's not worth claiming. I taught him what that word meant that day, yeah? And so far, the way the season started, I ain't wrong. Yeah, like the guy, yeah, like, he was boasting. He was like, yeah, you were saying we're going to lose Kane all summer. And look at this, we're keeping him. You're keeping someone that don't want to be there against their will. Now, look, me and GT, we've watched Henry go. We watched Vieira go. We watched Van Persie go. We watched Nasri go, Adebayo go, Sanchez go.
Keep them coming.
Go.
Yeah.
Like, we've been through it. We've seen it. The moment a player says he don't want to be there, that's it. I don't care who you are.
Can I answer that? Can I answer that?
For the club? Yeah, like let's be real. A lot of those names that I named have done a hell of a lot more than what Kane has at that club. And we watched them go, yeah. And you know what? The football club survives. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
What he's putting in now, you tell me he's not been affected by not getting what he wanted.
Definitely. But then definitely, I agree with what you're saying. But let's be honest, he's in the last, well, not the last chapter, but he's coming up to the last chapter of his career. Okay. And when we get to them sort of times in our career, like the players you mentioned, like Ian Wright and players like that, it becomes more about personal goals, isn't it? And because of the time he's been at Spurs, I couldn't tell you exactly how many goals he's scored or what sort of records he's broke, but he's breaking records on a personal level at the club. And if you can do that at any club and keep your name in that legend list for years to come, can you see him going anywhere else and doing that, breaking records, becoming the highest top goal scorer for that club? Does he have time to do that anywhere else?
No, he doesn't. But the thing about it is, yeah, like I'll give you an example, right? Like over TikTok, a few Spurs fans, massive fan debate, yeah, between a Spurs fan who really believes that Kane has performed to the same level as Thierry Henry, right? And I was just like, no, like let's be real, yeah. Like, what holds Kane back here from, I think, a top 5? I think
of all time, or
of the Premier League era.
Okay.
Like I'm struggling now, yeah, to really argue that in terms of how I've seen him perform, that he doesn't belong there. Yeah. But if I was to ask someone on the street, like who watches football, they wouldn't name him in that 5. Let's be real. We know that. They wouldn't name him. Yeah.
Well, like, just out of interest, what would be your top 5? Or who would be your top 5?
Henry, Shearer, Henry, Shearer. I'm gonna go with Aguero, Rooney, Suarez, or Drogba. I don't know who to pick between those two. Because Suarez wasn't in the league very long. Drogba wasn't very consistent, but was in the league longer. I feel like Suarez's individual season, obviously, after Salah's, is one of the best that we've seen in one of those 3 years. Like, Kane's done things that put him in those conversations. But the one, like the blocker in all of that, like the elephant in the room, is that even Alan Shearer got a league title, So for him, when you're talking about personal goals and hitting records, I don't think it's about the records. I think it's about that legacy conversation. Like, where does my achievements, my team achievements, where does that leave me stacking up? because on his day we've seen flashes where he's up there with those names, you know, like, but
for me, that's where I kind of have to agree.
I feel sorry for him.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's where I have to kind of agree with Harry Payne in that, you know, I feel as though, you know, biasness aside, you know, personally, I don't really like Harry Kane, really. But when you look at his goal scoring record, I have to agree with Harry Payne in that, you know, the amount of goals he scored, and the amount of appearances, etc., he has to be considered one of the best strikers, you know, if not the best striker at certain times when he's played. But I feel as though and this is no dig at Spurs, I think the lack of silverware in many ways has contributes to people not really giving him the credit he deserves in terms of his scoring ability, because he is a top striker. Like, there is no doubt about that.
Best striker I've seen play for that team since Gary, like the likes of it.
He's top draw. He's top draw, you know, and that's biasness aside, that's rivalry aside. He is a quality striker, you know, and I in a way it's a difficult one for Kane, because like you know, like Harry Payne, you said, you know, he's kind of in the final chapter in terms of his kind of playing career, etc., etc. So it's going to be a difficult decision, whatever happens. But if he decides to stay, if he decides to go, you know, a lot of that is going to be up to he himself, but also obviously, you know, the Tottenham hierarchy. But yeah, it's a massive decision, because realistically, you know, he doesn't have, you know, basically, you know, it's beginning to get to the point where his best years are becoming behind him rather than
exactly. Well, I feel like if we get a trophy,
it's going the other way.
But I feel like Tottenham are going up. We might not be going up fast, but we're going up. Just for the simple fact that we come above Arsenal every season, I feel accomplished by that. There was a time, I'm 30, so when I was in secondary school, there was a time when we were coming 7th and 6th every season, and you lot were battling for the bloody league. I remember those days. And now, consistently, since about 2017, we've been coming above you lot. So just that in itself is an accomplishment. Now, obviously, you got other teams like West Ham and Leicester and these kind of teams that are getting better. But just coming above Arsenal for us is an accomplishment. And I know for you, like, it hurts. You won't admit, I don't know if you'd admit it, but consistently coming above Arsenal means a lot, bro. Do you get what I'm saying? That's a start. If we get a trophy, Harry Kane got to sign.
We fall off, we still win trophies.
If we get a trophy, Harry Kane ain't going to leave. There's no way he's leaving.
This is prime Tottenham. This is as good as it got. Yeah.
No way.
And in that time, there was
we still ain't won the Champions League. We got to the Champions League final. We still ain't won it. So there's still room for improvement. And Conte does that. You can imagine his energy. You can picture it. And then you could so you think about the Arsenal dressing room with Conte in it. Crazy. Forget about Arteta. You don't even kick him out the door. Get Conte in all day. So just picture the Spurs. Just picture the Spurs dressing room with Conte in it. It's crazy.
We've discussed this on my show, and I've said I'd either take Rodgers, you know, like I would sooner take someone who isn't like he's a poison pill, bro.
I agree. If you're talking about long term, if you're talking about 2 or 3 seasons, I agree. That's like I could say you lot should get Patrick Vieira in, but if you get him in, you're looking at 4 or 5 seasons with him. But it depends on what you're looking at the time. And right now, we need trophies. That's it. Get a trophy and leave.
I hear you. Right, and that's where we're going to draw the line with regards to.
How that pans out for you.
We're going to draw the line there because obviously we could go back and forth with regards to that one all night, but we've got to get onto our main event. So I'm going to run through some comments and then we're going to get started. Big up Den, who's in the chat. Mikey, I think you're going for your top 3 in terms of Henry, Drogba, and Ronaldo. Okay, I think that kind of just depends on opinions. Big up Lottie, smash those like, guys. Yes, please. If you haven't already, do smash the like button. And if you haven't, subscribed to the channel, please do take the time to subscribe to the channel tonight. Next we have Stephen. Good evening, Stephen. That we finished above Arsenal. Yeah, it's the trophy that we finished above. Me and Harry Payne go at it all the time about that. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Chris, but since when did finishing above Arsenal become a success for a club? Spurs are about to fall another place once Newcastle get going, overtake them. Okay. And I was going to touch a little bit on Newcastle, but we're running a little behind schedule, so we may come back to it. But yeah, tonight's show, the main event is really about split opinions and two players in particular. And I'm going to bring up the first player for tonight's show. And, you know, I honestly feel like this guy literally splits the Arsenal fan base like more than probably any other player. And I have to be honest, you know, I've kind of been in the Pepe corner and I've kind of been against Pepe, and now I'm kind of firmly on the fence. I don't really know what to think when it comes to Pepe. So if we can go back, obviously the story started in 2019 when he signed for Arsenal in what was a £72 million club record fee. And to just put that into context, that was off the back of some fantastic stats playing for Lille in the French league. In the season of 18 and 19, he got 23 goals and 12 assists, which, regardless if you want to call the French league below par, etc., for me, you know, those are impressive stats for an attacking player. So that's what obviously sparked the interest. And regardless of what rival fans might say, you know, for me, Pepe was a sought-after winger that summer. He was one of the wingers that most of the top teams were in for, or at least interested in. And I have to be honest, I was absolutely thrilled when we bought him. I have to be completely honest. I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite and say, oh, you know, it's been a waste of money. It's this, that. I couldn't care less what Arsenal paid for him. It's not my money. I just thought, get him in because he's going to, you know, elevate this team to another level. Now, some would argue he has. Some would argue he hasn't. I'm going to come to you first, Gunner King. In terms of Pepe, what is your opinion about this player? Because before you answer that question, I'm just going to run some stats by you. So Pepe has scored, or just say the first Pepe, when we bought Pepe in his first season, he had 16 goals and 5 assists, which were 21 goal contributions. Yeah. Now he cost 72 million, which people think was, you know, crazy in terms of a price. Pair this to Havertz at Chelsea in his first season. He got 9 goals, 9 assists, which is 18, which is below Pepe. He cost 70 million. Jack Grealish in the season of 2021, he got 7 goals and 12 assists, which was 19, which was again 2 below Pepe. He went for £100 million the following season to City. And if we to look at Maddison, who was quite an obvious choice for most Arsenal supporters, in the 20 and 21 season, he scored 11, assisted 10, and had a similar number, so 21 goal contributions, same as Pepe. But yet Arsenal fans were quite happy for us to bid 70 million to secure his signature. Most of us were quite unhappy that we didn't. So when we're looking at the likes of Havertz at 70 million, Grealish at 100 million, Maddison at an expected 70 million pound price tag, only one of those 3 players had the same amount of goals and assists as him in his first season at Arsenal. So why the debate? Why is there so much of a split opinion with Pepe when statistically his numbers are actually quite good?
Yeah, I think with Pepe, there's a number of factors. I think first of all, you know, I think the way that we were scouting players then, like we weren't delving deeply enough. Like at Lille, he was very much their main goal outlet. So, you know, very much like Salah for Liverpool, played on that side. That was like their main goal threat, taking set pieces, lots of responsibility, big fish in a small pond. Obviously, Ivorian, I believe as well. So brought up in France, speaks the French language, has the affinity with the culture there. Because a lot of what is not looked at yet is how what happens off the field affects the player on the field. So I think like we brought him to London. You know, at the time, obviously, I had Lacazette, Aubameyang. There were French players there, able to help him assimilate. I just think the price tag that he came with, I think he got like 2 or 3 goals, I think, like in his first 10 games.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but he did all right in his first 10 games. He didn't rip up trees. And I think what happened was with that price tag, we expected to see something instant. I still talk about Drogba in his first 2 seasons. I think in his second season, he only got 12 goals and 11 assists. And like, you know, like, and we all know what happened in the third season. You know, like, I think sometimes we have this expectation. It's like Chelsea do the same with Werner. Oh, he had a crap season. He got like 29 goal involvements in all competitions.
Pepe got 18 goal involvements in his first season at Arsenal.
That's what I'm like.
He got 8 goals and 10 assists, and that was his first season at Arsenal.
I really do think that like we have this football manager FIFA-esque kind of view on how football and how life works. Yeah, like the people can just come from one country to another one. Yeah, they could just suddenly feel settled. You know, the guy barely spoke any English at the time. I still don't think English he's that great with it. You know, like not speak to like a lot of your teammates or like people outside of like the training and the football thing, and then just come to training and be fine. Like, you know, everything's all different, everything's weird, everything's new. You know, at that time, I think we had a new manager as well. You know, so he's implementing new ideas.
There's a lot of transition going on at the same time.
Everything was changing. You know, we were bringing in, I think it was Mislintat or someone, if my memory serves me correctly. So we were making a lot of backroom changes. A lot of the old was going out and bringing in and ushering in the new. And I just think really there was too much change happening at one time at that club. And it was just another change that we were trying to shoehorn in and make work. And I think people didn't see the instant success. So then immediately it's like you discard the player like a dropped toy. That's not just the Arsenal fans. I'm noticing that has become more inherent in the football culture, like of fandom everywhere, all over the world. People are already talking about Messi being a flop because he ain't got the league goal yet. If the last 10, 15 years
it's nuts,
like, the sport didn't frigging happen. Like, what kind of bollocks is that? Like, sorry, what kind of nonsense is that? You know, like this is the age we live in. Recency bias is everywhere we turn. You know, so you're only as good as your last game. And you know, I think where he was struggling to break into the team to get like, because the way you play football in France and the way you play football in England is completely different. You get less time on the ball. You know, it's much more physical, played at a much higher speed. He's trying to take all that on. He's trying to learn English. He's trying to get to know his teammates, this new manager, this new system, this new city, everything's new to him. You know, like, and I just think some players, it's a sink or swim thing. Like some players will handle that, or they won't. And I don't think we supported him in the way we should have through that. And I also don't think tactically our setups were helping him either, because, you know, at Lille, this guy, he wants to camp up the pitch. You know, he's got players behind him that cover, that mean that...
Yeah, and Arsenal, he's expected to do a lot more.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't think we really thought the transfer through. I think we just put a name on a marquee signing and just expected everything else to figure itself out.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm happy with this window. I don't want to subject too much, but we didn't take that marquee route. You know, United are out here boasting about marquee signings that couldn't even beat Atalanta.
Yeah.
You know, like, because that's the thing. Like I think the recruitment at that time was broken. There wasn't.
It still is. I reckon it still is, but if I'm honest.
I disagree completely.
Look
at what our new signings did to me, man.
Yeah. I'll come to you at this point in Harry Payne. Like, so as I said before, you know, Pepe was a sought after winger. You know, I don't think many rival fans would admit it at this point, but you know, when his signature was up for grabs, there was a host of big teams that wanted to come in for him, and that would have been happy to obviously secure his signature. Now, what is your kind of general opinion on him? And before I say that, I'm going to throw some stats at you. So I said to Gunner King that obviously what his stats were like in comparison to other players in the Premier League in that same season. Not all of them are exactly the same player, but generally attacking wingerish type players. In the last 3 seasons he's been at Arsenal, he's had 25 goals and 18 assists. Now, if we were to compare that to 2 players in particular, now I know they're younger, but they are in the Arsenal team on a week in, week out basis. In the same time, Saka has had 13 goals and 23 assists, and ESR has had 14 goals and 16 assists. So, Pepe seems to be competing at a level where, he seems to be competing well with both rival players that have gone for either similar money or quoted to be going for similar money. But he also seems to be comparing quite well with, some of our younger players that, albeit are significantly younger than him, but at the same time are almost, for all Arsenal fans, a dead cert to start week in, week out. So for you as a rival fan, as a Spurs fan, what is your genuine opinion on Pepe in terms of what you've seen, in terms of how he plays?
I feel like he's overrated. I feel like there's a lot of players every season in every league that get hyped up, that are young, that happens every season. Camavinga, players that get hyped up and then they disappear. I feel like you don't jump to the decision. I feel like for the past, 5 years, I don't know how long Pepe's been. How long has Pepe been at Arsenal?
He's been at us since the 19 and 20 season.
Yeah, probably since before then. I think that the whole transfer system at Arsenal has been messed up. I feel like Kroenke's got in more important things like the Los Angeles Rams and the Super Bowl and all them kind of things. I even feel like with Edu signing Ben White 50 mil, Pepe was your biggest ever signing. Pepe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, record signing.
When players go to clubs as record signings, they need to make impacts straight away, big impacts. That's the whole point of buying them. You don't buy players for 72 mil and expect them to fall back and settle into the squad. You're expecting some sort of consistency from them, whether or not the squad's doing good. I can't compare him with Ronaldo, but compare him with good players that consistently assist or score. He's not that guy. He's not even consistently in the starting 11. Let's be honest. Now you've got players like Saka coming through. So the turnaround with Saka is going to be way quicker than the turnaround has been with Pepe. We're seeing improvements now, maybe a little bit, but by the time he's willing to be consistent, I reckon Saka's going to overtake him.
There's an argument that he probably already has, to be honest.
Exactly. I reckon he has way more impact. He's much more fearless. I feel like Gunnar King's right in terms of the way Pepe's treated by the fans maybe affects him a lot more. And a lot of footballers are different. Some footballers don't even look at that. But I feel like Pepe's a player that plays off of that. I feel like when he scores a sick goal, he feeds off of the fans and he feeds off of the love. And when he's playing dead, he consistently plays dead for longer because I feel like he buys into what the fans are saying. Don't get me wrong, he's a quality player. He's got talent. He's got good technique. A lot of the goals he scores are technically good. Yeah. But I feel like he's been at Arsenal for too long. You are going to take a loss on him. You already know that. You got to get what you can out of him because you spent so much money on him. And I feel like Edu's a crook. I feel like your sporting director's a crook. The players that he's brought in over the past couple of years, I feel like, and like you said earlier, you're in sales, so you know sales like me. If you're in a position where you can get a bit of commission and the chairman ain't really looking at you because you're not really under that much pressure, then you're going to try and do what benefits you. I feel like the Ben White signing benefited him. £50 million for Ben White. I don't think he's worth that. I feel like Romero is better than him. That we got Romero. I feel like Rudiger. I feel like Rudiger at Chelsea is better than him. Do you know what I mean? 50 mil for Ben White. I don't know why he done that. Tomiyasu. I don't know. I've never heard of Tomiyasu before.
Of course, Patrice and your scouts weren't watching him and refused to pay the extra for him. And that's why we went in and signed him. And now, who the hell is Emerson Royal?
Emerson Royal, Barcelona right back. Did he not come from Barcelona, one of the biggest clubs in the world?
Because they exercised the buyback clause. Yeah,
he bought Ben White.
He was playing for this last season, not Barcelona. They exercised a buyback clause, and they sold him for a profit. So he didn't actually really touch Barcelona's first team. Just to be clear,
do you feel like Ben White was a good signing?
I mean, the proof's in the pudding, dude. Like, I mean, I don't know
And
what you want to say. Like,
no, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like that goes back to the Pepe signing. I feel like there's somewhere in that transfer team or whoever is in there, someone in there is getting a lot of commission, and they're not really doing it for the club.
Well, the Pepe signing was I don't believe the Pepe signing was Edu's. I think it was it Raul?
It was before him. It was
Raul. Yeah. So if with regards Pepe, obviously, you know, when you do look at obviously the stats, you know, it's and this is the reason why the Pepe scenario kind of frustrates me, and I kind of don't really know where to kind of go with it, because like I said, I was all for Pepe joining the club, and I feel like off the back end of last season he really hit some good form, and for him specifically, I really didn't want the season to end because he was in a rich vein of form. But this season, it's kind of gone. He's kind of regressed a little bit back to maybe when he first joined the club, but then when I look at the stats, it's like they kind of tell a different story. But I'm never really a person that focuses too much on stats. I don't really like to, because I like to just watch the game and see how a player performs in the game, because I think you can influence a game without necessarily, you know, assisting a goal or scoring a goal. I think, you know, there are lots of great players in the past. You know, if you were to look at someone like Vieira, for example, I don't imagine he would have great stats in terms of goals or assists, but he was a player who dominated the game. You know, he controlled the game. And I know they play in different positions, but I don't like getting fixated on stats, so I tend to not look at them. So when I look at Pepe's performances, I'm often kind of left disappointed, just in terms of, like, you know, how many times he loses the ball, sometimes his decision making, etc. And you know, Harry Payne, you made a point there in terms of us taking a loss on him. So the last thing I'm going to ask you both, before we move on to Odegaard, is Gunnar King, right now, in terms of what Pepe's done over the last 3 seasons at Arsenal, what decision would you make about Pepe? Would you keep him? What role do you see him playing in the team in terms of keeping him, selling him, squad player? What do you see? Obviously, with the emergence of Saka, but if you were in charge of Arsenal right now, how's this going to play out for you?
I'd keep him, at least until the end of the season. Look, sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture. Like, for me, our squad at the moment, you've got like Partey's 28, 29. El Nenny's not really featuring in his first team, 28, 29. Lacazette, 32, 33. Aubameyang, 32, 33. Leno, removed from the first team now. He's in and around that 28, 29 age. All of our first team 11, our back 5, no one's over the age of 24. Tierney's the oldest. Yeah, our midfield, obviously, you got Partey in there now. But then you got the likes of Sambi playing because Xhaka's not fit. So you've got Smith Rowe and Saka, you know, and Martinelli, who you're wanting to have an impact. And everyone else is just youngsters. Ramsdale's 23. This squad needs balance. And I think we talk a lot about what we see on the pitch. But we've all played for football teams. Do you know what I mean? You know, there's always that guy in training or who's in and around the squad who's not there for vibes. What I'm trying to say is, like, that person, you know, is committed, you know, tries their best, but also boosts morale and also gives experience and advice and pointers and helps other players develop.
Yeah.
And look, I've watched interviews. Ian Wright did an interview with Lacazette and Aubameyang, and they were all like replaying all their best goals. They did a Q&A session. Ian Wright asked Aubameyang and Lacazette in training, who is the guy that no one can get near? Like who's the guy in training that does all the right things, that lights up training, that you can't lay a glove on? And they both in unison, without any hesitation, said Pepe. Same time, they both went Pepe. Didn't even look at each other. They were just like, this guy is he's just different. Like the stuff he does in training, the stuff he like pulls off, like it's unbelievable. Obviously, they didn't go as far as to say why doesn't he do it more on the pitch, but they were like, they were really like both of them, and like Lacazette and Aubameyang, like they're two of the most heralded, established members of our
players in the squad.
and without any hesitation whatsoever, they were just like, yeah, it's Pepe, and it's not even close. You know what I mean? Like they were just like, and you see it like in flashes. Like
you do in glimpses.
What he does. And like I think the problem with Pepe isn't his ability, it isn't his application, it isn't his attitude, it's his confidence. He's shot to bits. Like
this is what
I see it more a crisis of confidence than ability or attitude or application. And like I'll make more leeway for someone who is lacking confidence than someone who's got the wrong attitude. Do you know what I mean? That isn't applying, trying.
I hear that.
Isn't coming to training. That isn't giving their best whenever they play for the club, because he does. And I just think I don't know why. Like maybe I'm going to go down with the ship, but I think the best is yet to come from this player. And Saka and DSR, their injury records aren't great anyway. We know. I feel like one of those guys is gonna. The way I'm seeing them get hit, I went to the last 3 home games. The way I'm seeing these boys get beaten up, like they're not lasting the season. I promise. One of those guys, is gonna be injured and then who do we turn to? So,
okay.
I don't think it's time to run at the club personally.
Okay, so it's interesting because you touched upon it in a very different way, kind of to Harry Payne, but similar things in that you spoke about his confidence being shot. And I know, Harry Payne said something about, him feeding off kind of like, the fans' energy, etc. Him being more of a confidence player. So you kind of both said the same thing, but in a roundabout way. Last thing I'm going to say with regards to Pepe, and I'm going to come to you, Harry Payne. Obviously, he's a gooner. He's an Arsenal player. But obviously, if he was a Tottenham player and he was performing the way he was for Arsenal, very, very briefly, what would you see for his future at the club? Would you say he has a long-term future at the club or not? And how would you go about kind of handling that situation?
I feel like it's the perfect time right now for them to get rid of him. Being as Newcastle, what's going on with Newcastle? Straight away, get him out the door, get as much as you can for him, and bring in an experienced player that can show. Because like you said earlier, Gunner King, you've got so many young players. You need a bit more experience in there. If you look at your team, Pepe's an experienced player in that squad, and I wouldn't say he's playing like an experienced player. Aubameyang, Pepe, and one thing we got to remember, is that I don't think you have recovered from the Wenger when Wenger left. I feel like the impact he had on you lot's club, the way he changed the whole regime and everything, him leaving, you're still feeling that. You're still feeling that. The players ain't respecting the managers that are coming in. The players are, let's be honest, Aubameyang is a huge player. When he came to Arsenal, he dipped. And I'm like you said, when what Saka does in training and things like that. If you've got players turning up late for training, doing things that you can't look up to them for, like Lacazette, like these players, the young players can't look up to them. I feel like right now, the experienced players in your squad and the players that are having the most influence is Smith Rowe, Saka, and Odegaard. Without those 3, you've got no team. I feel like Pepe has no influence on anything you do. You can score a goal here and there. You can get an assist here and there. But in terms of value, the Newcastle are buying players right now. Get your 50 mil plus for him and just get an experienced player in. Get a Cavani. Not Cavani as such, but I mean someone with that kind of experience that can talk to these players and that's coming from somewhere where they've won trophies and the players are going to respect what he's saying. Because Lacazette and Aubameyang, they're not doing it. And Pepe's already an experienced player. Aubameyang and Lacazette, they're not doing it. Pepe's already an experienced player. Saka's past him. I don't think he can tell Saka anything. I feel like we've seen Saka play so many times and get taken out so many times and get up. And there's been times when I've thought he's not getting up or he's injured or he's not going to play the next match. And he cracks on. His influence in that team, he's fearless, and those are the kind of players you need. So yeah, I see him going.
No worries, thank you, and that kind of brings us swiftly on to because you mentioned him, is this gentleman here. Another player that massively kind of divides opinion amongst the fan base, including mine also. Odegaard, top talent. It's made a massive big money move to Madrid. As a teenager, we've got here captain of Norway, career stats of over 30 odd assists, 40 odd goals in over 200 games. Obviously, when you look at that, the pedigree of playing for the likes of clubs like Madrid, I know he's on loan quite a few times, but if you look at his career stats in terms of assists and goals, his leadership qualities in terms of being captain of Norway, and when you consider what we actually bought him for in the summer, I think it was like 31, 32 million. Surely, that's kind of like great value for money, in this climate, in this market. Mm-hmm. So what is it that divides fans when it comes to Odegaard? Because it's like, I have to be honest, Gunner King, I wasn't, as a Gooner, I wasn't thrilled with his loan move. Yeah. I wasn't completely blown away with the way he played. And I have to admit, I did jump on the whole Maddison bandwagon. I was really excited. I kind of wanted him to come to the club, etc. And I did somewhat feel underwhelmed when Odegaard was signed. But when I look at obviously, what he's done so far in his career, his experience, the level in which he's played, when I think about the money we've paid for him, I think it's a really, really reasonable fee for what he's done in his career.
Absolutely.
But in terms of his performances at Arsenal, this season, they have been somewhat hot and cold. The stats are not great. I know. I feel like he turned the corner at one point, and then I saw him in his performances against, I think it was Brighton and Palace, and he was awful in those two games, and I think he's since been dropped. So what is your general opinion on him, Gunner King, in terms of, what he's done so far? We've got a what looks like a winning formation 4-4-2 now. How's he going to find his way back into the side? Just what's your opinion on him generally as a player in his career at Arsenal so far?
Listen, this player he's for his position, one of the best youngsters about. Like I've done a piece on this on TikTok when we signed him. So if you look at his passing percentiles, right? Obviously, I don't like to read too much into stats.
Yeah.
But one thing I like to look at is percentiles, yeah, where you can see relative to other players in his position, what percentage he's in for like pass completion, like mid, long, and short range passing. He is literally in the top 10%. It's no joke. For players his age in that position, you look at all of his passing stats here, you look at his dribbling, you look at how press resistant he is. All of these stats here, this site called FB Ref, where you can see it all, yeah. And I'll screenshot it again. I'll send it to you later. This guy is literally in the top 10 percentiles for so many things. He's got so much technique. He's got a good football brain, yeah, like a good understanding of space, awareness, like off the ball, his off the ball movement. These are all very good things. Like what's always let him down is in front of goal. He's always been someone. I think what happened is very young. He identified himself as someone who wasn't as good or as clinical in front of goal as he was in picking out his other teammates. So he just didn't bother trying to score. He's always trying to lay it on for someone else, and I think you look at his heat maps as well. He gets everywhere. The guy runs around. He likes to operate mainly from the center and then drift into the right-hand channel. But he will drop deep to get the ball. He will make himself available for the ball in all these different types of pockets of areas. I think what we judge him on is not being Maddison. And I think a lot of people that don't really respectfully don't understand the sport. They're like, if you're an attacking midfielder and you're not scoring and you're not getting assists,
yeah,
what are you? Paul Scholes, what you were saying earlier about stats, if you look at Paul Scholes' stats, for goals and assists, you won't find them, but if you sit and watch the man, watch the man,
that's what I do. I watch games. I very rarely focus on the stats.
Play, he was what I call a continuation player. He kept their whole offensive play ticking. Odegaard is that player. Smith Rowe is that player. They're continuation attacking midfielders. They're not ones to get on the end of chances or to create like the final pass for a chance. But if you look at the build-up of, say, 25, 30 of our last goals, somewhere in that build-up is one of these two players. Yeah. That's the sort of player they are. Yeah. And like, I think we don't judge him correctly because we see him as like, and the thing is, I look at all of our attacking midfielders and I see this problem. Bruno is a final action attacking midfielder. He's getting the last pass in. He's getting a shot at goal. Yeah. Like, but if you look at Bruno in terms of being involved in earlier in continuing the ball in build-ups, in his decision making, he's always trying to make hero passes. When sometimes it's about making the pass simple, keeping the ball, and keep like just the continuation of the play. Whereas Bruno's only got one gear, where he wants to. Everything's got to be a final ball. Everything's got to be a final pass. And I'm sat next to you, a United fan, who will tell me straight that sometimes that's not what you need. You know, like, and I think Odegaard is gonna take a bit more time to develop into our system. I think also just the pressure of Pepe kind of have is Smith Rowe and Saka are Haaland boys, so they're always going to have that favourable admiration from the fans, which is going to seep into the football club of like the coaches, the managers, because they've worked with them since they were kids. Smith Rowe's been there since he was 10, so it's almost like a bit more of a mountain to climb, and I think because of where we've come from. Yeah, like the club that we used to be, that we're not anymore. The fan base is toxic and it's polluted. Like, and I'm, you know, even I can be like suffering the affliction sometimes where we just fly off the handle. We're reactionary, you know, like where we feel the frustration of not being the Arsenal of old. So then every minute mistake becomes a meme, you know, like becomes a microcosm of that falling from where we've been, like, and we put it on these players that after one or two games against Brighton, and you know, Odegaard didn't have a good game, so now he's on the bench, and everyone's like, oh, why did we even buy him? This is why we should have got Maddison. This, that, and the other. Maddison, let's be real, he only got his first goal since February the other day. You know, so it's just
mainly because of Ramsdale, isn't it?
Yeah, I wanted Maddison no less than the next Arsenal fan. You know, like we got Odegaard, you know, and I feel sorry for him because we judge him more on him not being Maddison than being Odegaard, who needs a bit of time to settle like any other player. And when he came on loan last season, he got injured. Then he returned to fitness. Then Lacazette and Aubameyang, our main two goal scorers, were injured when he was fit. And then they kept kind of doing that like switch around thing. And look, we've brought in 6 new players. So you're bringing 6 new players. Again, that's new systems, new formations, new philosophy. And it's all that change thing again. I just think we like to isolate context and just be like, well, he's not playing as well as Smith Rowe and Saka, so he can't be any good. Now that's the benchmark for every attacking player. Is that even healthy? These guys have been at the club since they were kids. Obviously, they're going to play a bit more for the club because it means that bit more to them. You know, like, is it healthy to suddenly just have those two as the standard? I don't think it is. I really don't.
Okay, so Harry Payne, obviously, you know, Odegaard, he's an Arsenal player, etc. But you know, if you kind of think about in terms of context of everything what Gunnar King has said, and obviously some of the early information with regards what I said with regards how much we actually paid for him in this, you know, in this current climate, in this market, it's for me it seems like a reasonably really good deal. So that's my question to you. So, you know, what is your general opinion on Odegaard? You know, is he a player that, you know, if you had picked him up at Spurs for 31, 32 million, you would have been over the moon with?
Hey, was he not the youngest player ever to start for Real Madrid?
Yeah.
So look, that in itself says a lot. So if what I'd say firstly is if you compare him to a Pepe back then for 30 mil, he's an absolute steal. He's got so much time at Arsenal to grow, and he will grow without a doubt. It's definitely worth, like I say, more than 30 mil. I reckon he's a decent signing. I reckon, obviously, that like you said, everyone's got to grow in the Premier League. It's not a league that you can just come to and expect to just be banging off. Like, we're talking about players like De Bruyne, players like Kante from Chelsea. He's playing with some big boys. He's going to take at least a season or two for him to be able to perform like that. But I could definitely see the benefits of buying Odegaard. I would have taken him. He's doing you lot a benefit. He done Arsenal a benefit. Arteta definitely done the job on him and got him a house and got him the house that he wanted and done whatever he wanted just to get him in. He's done you lot a favour. Yeah. Anyone that's started for Real Madrid at the age of 16, is definitely someone to watch.
He's a top player, you know, and it's like, it's mad because, you know, when I think, you know, like Gunnar King said and you've said as well, it's like as fans we are impatient, you know, but at the same time we have to kind of respect the fact that the Premier League is the best but most competitive league in the world. And we can't expect these players to just come in and just perform, you know, just like that. You know, it's not going to happen.
One of the problems that you guys have, though, what I'd say more than any other club in the Premier League is, like you touched on earlier, the social media following. When you've got such a big fan base following maybe one platform or just on you lot, they can take their opinions, and once they've taken it, it runs with everyone because everyone's just in the same kind of field, if you get what I'm trying to say, which makes it very hard for players. Whereas someone like Leicester that hasn't got the same kind of fan platforms, when fans have more of an independent kind of thinking, you're not just thinking like everyone else. I think with you lot, because you've got cult followings that follow one or two people, so sometimes things they say, everyone just takes it, even if
everyone
you don't believe
jumps on the bandwagon.
There's something to say. It's something to argue with a Spurs fan about. It's something you can throw out there. You may not even believe it. It just sounds good. So I think in terms of that, going back to the Pepe and maybe even Odegaard going forward, the criticism isn't needed, especially when players first go there. You got to let them settle in.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's interesting though, because, you know, I think both of you have made really valid points with regards to both players. But in terms of where Arsenal are right now, you know, Gunnar King, we seem to have found a winning formula, a winning chemistry with the team in terms of this. Why are you laughing, man?
I'm sorry, man. You're talking it on.
You do realise that, like, in the last 5 games, our form mirrors Liverpool and Manchester City.
All right, but are we going on the mindset? Are we going on the mindset?
More games. Also defensively.
All right. Listen.
We needed more goals.
This is the mindset. This is going off the mindset that you lot are now a mid-table club. So doing that is fantastic. You settled in mid-table. You settled in at 8th or 9th, 10th, mate. 11th.
Right. Listen. Let me finish the statement. Gunnar King, Harry Payne. So what I was finishing was Arteta has somewhat found, you know, a winning formula in that. And when I say that is, you know, we're unbeaten in 9. So since the slapping we got from Man City, we've not lost a game. 9 games unbeaten. We've gone from, you know, basically, you know, a relegation battle to 6th in the league, you know, 3 points off 4th. So when you look at it like that, in terms of the context of how many games have been played, there has been an improvement in terms of results. Obviously, you know, we're not conceding goals. We're scoring more goals. But what has changed, or what seems to have changed, is the formation. We seem to be playing somewhat a 4-4-2. Now, I know Gunner King, in terms of when you look at Arsenal's formation and you look at the players and how they're performing right now, I know right now I could probably name that team. Well, I could name that team, the starting 11 for the Watford game on Saturday or Sunday, man for man. I almost, and probably most rival fans would probably almost be able to name that team man for man, like who is going to actually start in that game. My issue is, to kind of round up this debate with the whole Odegaard and Pepe thing, is when we look at Arsenal's current form, 9 games unbeaten in the new, somewhat adopted 4-4-2 formation, Pepe and Odegaard, where do they fit in with that? Kind of thing.
Look, for me, I think it is kind of a hybrid system as well, because it does flip back to the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Like, so Aubameyang will drift wide.
Yeah.
And then Lacazette will go from like being that striker just behind him.
Just
like he'll do that, running behind, kind of. So, I think, to be honest, at the moment, if something's not broken, don't try and fix it. And the players have got to understand that. Like, look, it's the way it is. Like, especially for a team that has been struggling to find continuity and like to consistently keep getting points. Like, I think a season ago we lost that game. We would have lost that game against Brighton. We would have lost that game against Palace, where I was there, and we equalised with the last kick of the game, courtesy of Lacazette. Lacazette came on in that game, and I think Arteta was trying to freeze him out of the squad due to the contract situation. His back was against the wall. We were 2-1 down. He brings him on. He scores. And since then, since coming back into the team, we have looked better as a unit going forward. So, look, this is the way it should be. Like, players shouldn't be afraid of competition. At the moment, Odegaard and Pepe, respectfully, I want to keep them both at the club. Like, and on my own show the other day, I was like literally there on my own, fending off the rest of the Armory TV. Yeah, were like, take what we can for Pepe and cut. Yeah. So this is how I feel about him. I think competition is what the squad needs, I think it's how Pepe and Odegaard respond from this at the moment. I think Odegaard's got age on his side, as Harry said. He's only 22, 23. So this is going to happen. Throughout his time, it's going to happen again to Smith Rowe. You best believe it's going to happen to Saka again as well. And I want to see them being protected as well, because I don't want to see them getting burnt out. Look, the way we're playing at the moment, as I said, the last 21 points, we've taken 17.
Yeah.
Now, Harry wants to talk about a new thing. Well, since ESR was introduced to the team last January, only City and United took more points than us in the league. So this is nothing new. Like, he's been since he found his winning formula, it goes back to that game against Chelsea, Boxing Day last year, when he put ESR in that team. And then he brought Odegaard in January, and those two were working in tandem to help us create a lot more chances. So they got their place, all of them, down to Odegaard and Pepe. What they just need to do is be patient. They'll get their cup games where we don't have Europe this season, where we can try them out in Europe. So we got to do well in the cup competitions for those guys, so they can get their chance.
They rotate the squad.
They've got to take them. But at the moment, I'm not going to just upset this apple cart, and to try and bring one of those two in. As much as I love them and I want them to stay at the club, I'm not stupid. What we're doing at the moment appears to be working. So don't try and fix it. And I hope Arteta does that. Xhaka got injured as well, so he seems to be finding a winning formula, keeping Sambi in midfield there with Partey as well. I just think we need to just bed these players in. Someone will get injured or someone's form will dip, and they'll need to be kept on their toes. That's what we got to do. I think that's fair enough. On everyone involved, and that's in the best interests of this football club.
Okay. Last question I'm going to put to you, Harry Payne, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. Obviously, you know, the debate has been about, you know, Odegaard. It's been about Pepe. You know, split opinions, and you know, I'm sure this is gonna go on and on and on and on and on until, you know, either, you know, one of them, both of them hit really top form, or they get sold, or whatever. You know, at some point, you know, it's going to conclude somehow. But looking at, obviously, you know, I know you're quite knowledgeable, you know, in terms of football, particularly Arsenal. I know you keep quite a keen interest on Arsenal team and Arsenal results. So when you look at our squads, and obviously, like some would say the resurgence this season, because obviously we lost our first 3 games. We're on a 9-game unbeaten run in, you know, in all competitions. Do you see room for, you know, Pepe and Odegaard in this first team 11? And you know, if you were, you know, the Arsenal manager or in charge of Arsenal recruitment, what role do you see them, you know, moving forward within the Arsenal team?
Oh, I feel that. Firstly, I feel that Arteta definitely came to Arsenal thinking that he was Pep Guardiola. He came with a pile of papers, dashed them on the desk, and started going through some mad formations, thinking that he was Pep Guardiola. We know that, yeah. What happened was someone whacked all those papers off the desk and just wrote 4-4-2. They went back to basics, yeah. And that's what all clubs do. When things are going wrong, you go back to basics. The simple 4-4-2. We've always known that in English football. The 4-4-2 works, isn't it? So you stick Smith Rowe in there, Odegaard, then you put Saka or Pepe on the right, someone else on the left, and Lacazette and Aubameyang up front. It's gonna work. You don't need to win in it. Sit back, and when you get to break. And that's something that Emil Smith Rowe does fantastically, and that's something that Odegaard does great. So within them two, he's got gems, and then you've got Pepe or Saka running off them, Aubameyang making some crazy runs. It works, but let's be honest, he's gone back to basics. He's not doing anything special. All right, he's moving like Solskjaer at United. He's teaching himself as he's going along with the job. But I think that's good for Arsenal. Do you know why I think that's good for Arsenal? Because you got such a young squad, and when you got a young squad, they work well under PE teachers. You know, like you got the PE teacher telling them what to do. That's sort of like what Arteta's doing,
bro. Yeah, is comparing us to United.
The only respect Arteta's got is because he's older than them. Not in terms of any sort of leverage on what he's done or anything. What was the height of his career going to Arsenal? He hasn't done anything.
What I want to say though, is comparing us to United, right? Yeah, right. They don't.
No. Arteta to Solskjaer.
Yeah, to Solskjaer, right? Yeah, they don't control the football, right? So Arteta to probably, you know, last season, I remember the game against Burnley. We were trying to play out from the back. Xhaka tried to make a pass. The pass got intercepted. Burnley scored. Yeah. The next couple of games, we were still seeing them trying to pass out from the back. We were still seeing it. That's my
point. That's my point.
What he had, wait, let me finish. What he had was a clear idea of how I want to play. I want to be able to control the football, right from the back, right from the goalkeeper, to the central defender in midfield. I want to be able to control of the football, So what I'm saying is, this summer when we bought Ramsdale, none of us, not even me, not GT, not a single Arsenal fan was calling for this brother. Yeah,
no. Or Ben White,
right? Ben White is the same thing. Yeah, Tomiyasu, the same thing. Tomiyasu passes with both his feet. Yeah, both his feet. Right. I went to the last 3 home games. Some of the passes that the Ramsdale was doing from in between the sticks, I thought I was watching Ozil playing goal or something. It was a madness. Like he was literally picking out passes along the ground, sometimes fizzing it, doing
his distribution stats are crazy right now.
Distribution is mad, and there was a number of attacks that were started right from the goalkeeper up to the pitch. So this nonsense with Ollie, right? Yeah, I'm gonna quell it quickly, because they don't deserve to be compared.
No, let me tell you why they do. Go on.
Arteta said, this is the style of football I want to play.
Yeah.
These are the players that I need to do it. They're not world beaters. They're not marquee signings. They're not coming from these, these Real Madrids, these Barcelona, whatever.
But remember how much you spent on Pepe.
This is the job I want them to do, and they can do it. And they're starting.
That's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong, because the reason why.
What is he trying to get United to do? Please tell me.
The reason why, firstly, the reason why Arteta thought he could go to Arsenal and play out from the back is because that's the only football he knows. The only football he knew playing with Pep Guardiola is how to play out from the back. That's the only thing Pep Guardiola does. He doesn't play any other style. And the only reason why he can do that is because he has the players to do it. That's the only reason why. You have to have quality players that can play that two-touch football, so pass and move, intimate passing. That's the only way Arteta knows how to play. And that's why I say that he's teaching himself in this new, slower style of football. You lot ain't the Arsenal you was before. Nowhere near it. You lot are playing a basic formation where everyone knows exactly what they're doing. And the reason why he's done that is so that they understand him. He doesn't want to do too complicated. They're young boys. If you look at Solskjaer, the only respect he's got is from Ronaldo and Cavani and those older players. If you're looking at players like Greenwood, Sancho, they probably don't like Solskjaer because he has no respect as a manager. He hasn't done anything. He came from Malmo. Do you understand what I'm saying? Arteta hasn't done anything. So the younger players will listen to him because they want to play football. Players like Aubameyang and Lacazette, they don't care about him. They don't have respect for him. Aubameyang probably feels like he's had a bigger career than him.
They got 12 goal involvements this season between two of them.
We won the first 5 games of the season in the Premier League, and we're 1 point below you lot. So we'll all have up and downs throughout this season.
2 points.
2 points. Sorry, 2 points. We'll all have up and downs throughout this season. But one thing I can guarantee you, Lacazette won't get 10 goals this season. Aubameyang he'll get less than 15, and that's because they don't have respect for Arteta. Arteta can't. He ain't got that Conte ability.
We've looked more threatening. With Lacazette in the team not scoring goals than when we did when he wasn't in the team not scoring goals. Firmino,
I feel like whenever someone wants to get back in the squad,
I'm watching Liverpool right now. Firmino, do you think it's a coincidence that Mane a few weeks ago got his 100th goal for Liverpool in the Premier League, and Salah? There are only 5 players in the league that have got 100 goals in the league quicker than Salah. Henry's one of them. Do you think it's a coincidence that Firmino has been a mainstay of that team for seasons? Because those two don't.
He's one of them mad underrated players.
But then what I'd say to that,
not a team player.
What I'd say to that, I agree in terms of his influence.
Sometimes you need
influence. But then if you look at Jota,
not scoring, so there's no influence, isn't there? Like they're not doing what should be. But
if you look at what Jota's done, recently and at Liverpool, the impact he's had has probably been better than Firmino's, and that's what I mean in terms of if you want to get into a squad, you're going to play way better than if you're settled in. Lacazette hasn't been settled at Arsenal for ages. He's trying to get back into that squad. He's fighting for his place back in that squad. So he's going to play like that. He's going to play great. As soon as he settles back in, that's it. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves in January.
Lacazette's getting more out of the players around him than he's given credit for. ESR, when he was about to sign his new contract, he was asked, like, influentially speaking, who is the guy
I don't believe that.
Develop, improve, that is telling you things off the field, that is basically taking responsibility in how you develop as a player. And again, off the bat, no questions asked. He went Lacazette.
Boom. It's hard to.
Didn't even hesitate. He just went boom.
I feel like everyone likes the bad boy. Everyone likes the bad boy. Everyone likes the guy that don't care. Do you know what I mean?
It's hard though with the influence, kind of like with the argument in terms of the influence, because I've heard that quite a lot with Lacazette, even more so than our club captain Aubameyang. In that, I personally don't feel as though Lacazette is another one of those players that you could debate in terms of like split opinions, because for me, Lacazette's not necessarily the player that he's not necessarily lived up to the expectations in terms of when we bought him. You know, when we bought him from Lyon, I was expecting someone to get us 20, 25 goals a season consistently. He's not really done that. But then saying that, you know, it's like what Gunner King says, how do you measure the player? Because, you know, he from all accounts of what's said, kind of, you know, what goes on behind the scenes, he seems to have a massively positive impact on the younger players from what they're saying, from what's coming outside the club. At the same time, you know, his Arsenal career has been somewhat indifferent, so it's really hard to kind of judge it. And right now, as you said, you know, Harry Payne, you know, there's a high chance that, you know, he could potentially leave in January because he's out of contract come next summer. And, you know, there are arguments to suggest that, you know, is this recent vein of form, is that because, you know, he's playing for a contract? Is that because, as you said, as also, you know, he's actually trying to get back into the squad? So, you know, is that behind the kind of increase in efforts and increase in performance? Look, you know,
sorry to say this, yeah, but that's what singers do when they're about to bring out an album. They do a little freestyle for the build up to the album. Do you know what I mean? That's what he's doing for the build up of the transfer. He's playing good now, and he's going to get signed for a decent amount of money. Good on him, innit?
He was a top goal scorer last season, so.
And you lot came. Where did you come?
8th.
Yeah.
Right.
So your striker was the top goal scorer. Your striker got the most assists, and you only finished above us.
Gunner King and Harry Payne. Gunner King and Harry Payne. We're gonna have to wrap it up, yeah. But we're gonna have to at some point come for round 2 because I've tried my best to keep it clean tonight. I've tried my best to keep it clean, but I can tell both of you are just raring to go, which is brilliant. But look, it's been a longer than expected show. I wanted to keep the show inside an hour or just over an hour, but look, you know, like often we kind of get carried away. We have discussed a lot. And it's obviously the first show in terms of GTALKS and split opinions. And I think this is going to be somewhat of a series, this split opinions, because I think, you know, we've obviously discussed Pepe, Odegaard. We've already kind of touched upon Lacazette. And let's face it, you know, there are tons of players that we could talk about week in, week out with regards split opinions. But look, I want to obviously thank both of you for coming on to tonight's show. I want to massively thank everybody who's been, you know, tuning in for the whole kind of hour and 40 minutes with us, throwing in your comments and stuff. It's been a huge help and huge support. In terms of our next show, so we have our next show lined up is on Friday. We have a Cannon Chatter TV. We have a preview show of the Watford game. So any of you who are free on Friday evening, do join us for that show. But before we kind of say our goodbyes, Gunner King, obviously, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know you had a massively busy day and you kind of had to jump on as soon as you kind of got in from the work commute. But let everybody know where they can kind of follow you, you know, do any kind of shout outs that you want to do.
Yeah, man. I mean, the first thing I want to do is shout out the rest of the Armory TV crew. Big up yourselves. That's where I can be found on our YouTube channel, the Armory TV. We've also got a Twitter space, the Armory TV, same handle, and that's on TikTok as well. Myself, Gunner King, I'm on all of those platforms as Gunner King 14. So yeah, like I do a lot on TikTok, daily content there. A lot on Twitter and Instagram, you know, where it's the same. So yeah, I mean, looking to branch out to Twitch. That's going to happen really soon to do watch alongs. I'm also going to be going to the Watford game with Lottie, nice. And I've got my phone back now. So we'll be at the Watford game tomorrow together. So yeah, watch out for that as well.
Cool.
And just stay tuned. There's going to be a lot happening this season.
Definitely. Nah, big. Make sure you guys follow him up on Twitter. Check out the show. I regularly do that. I don't watch many, but I definitely watch you guys. Always in the chat. So yeah, definitely. Thanks for that. Harry Payne. Now, obviously tonight was your debut. first time on a YouTube stream channel. To be honest, I think you did brilliantly well.
Yeah, you did good.
Yeah, you did good, man. You held your own in enemy territory. I got to rate you for that. Even though I think I was somewhat keeping a leash on Gunner King. So don't get too excited. Don't get too excited because I was holding Gunner King back.
I can tell.
But look, it's been great having you on. We'll definitely have you on another time. One thing we're gonna have to do, we need to get you on Twitter, mate. Honestly,
I'm gonna have to get you on Twitter.
Because obviously at the moment, Harry Payne is not on Twitter, but I've said to him, look, if you love football and you love bants and you're into anything to do with transfers, teams, whatever it is, if it's anything to do with football, everybody knows football Twitter is the place to be. So I'm hoping, tonight's appearance will kind of get you.
No, definitely, man. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate that. Both of you, man. It's been decent. It's better than I expected. Panicking a little bit. Obviously, I haven't done this before, but man, it was run smoothly, man. I like it. You definitely got a little bubble going now. I might have to make the little Twitter and that. Yeah, active.
Man.
Back my team.
You and Gunner King could go back to back all day on Twitter.
No, I don't, suffer any falls on there, man.
Hey,
TikTok.
He does it.
Football TikTok's Undertaker. That's what they call me, man.
We literally go at it, marathons going at it for hours on it. I don't think you've got a clue. You'll see anyway.
Literally, bro. Me and Harry Payne, in the DMs, mate. Like literally, we just go at it, and it's like I can tell when he's typing. I'm trying to type before he can type because I want to get my bit in. You get me?
We're terrible for it, man. Honestly, yeah.
Listen, sometimes we literally just end up just not saying that to each other.
Yeah,
we just kind of ignore each other for a few days, isn't it?
It's 2 hours non-stop.
Yeah.
Boy, he must have been after that display at the Emirates, man.
Mate. Listen.
No, look, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure. I will definitely get you both on again. But look, everybody in the chat, thank you so much for your time this evening. Obviously, GTALKS is going to be a show that's going to be running from now on every single Wednesday. The time may differ, so sometimes it might be 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., preferably earlier in the evening. But a lot of the time, it's going to depend on, obviously, guest availability and stuff like that. But it's definitely going to be a weekly feature now in Cannon Chatter TV. And I don't know about you lot, but I've had a blast tonight. It's been really good fun, and I can't wait to do it again. Any last words, Harry Payne? Any last words before we go?
Sorry. Yeah, thanks for the guys in the comments for being easy on me as well. Appreciate that. Man, you definitely got me going now, mate. Thanks, GTALKS. Nice one. Nice meeting you, Gunner King. We'll do around too soon, innit?
Yeah.
Gunner King, any last words?
No, I'm just gonna just say thanks for having me on again. Been good. Enjoyed my conversations with Harry Payne. He must really be in pain at the moment, and just know that Conte changes nothing, innit?
Cool. And on that note, have a good evening, guys. Take it easy.